usually not the host of this, but I'm filling in for the great Sarah Miller, who couldn't make it tonight. This is after the Carnival, literary events. For those who don't know, Sarah started this over a year ago. I believe November was a year. And she's had phenomenal people come out and read, fiction writers, poets, has hosted readings for new books that came out, and anthologies, and it's been great. I mean, if you look at all the people here, this is kind of what her crowd has been for the last year, and it's pretty amazing. Another thing is that I think come April, it'll be a year in this gallery, Exhibit A, which is a fine space, and we can thank Evan Kelly, who's in the back, who's the man who curates. He runs the gallery, and as you can see tonight, it's this gallery is called White. This space. So all the artwork on the wall is for sale. So please see Evan if you want to buy one of these pieces. They're in transition right now, putting up a new gallery. There's some postcards up on this little, I don't even know what you call it, little pedestal thing. But it's Taylor Montague. Actually, I saw a bunch of the work. We just put it back in the back, and it's actually quite fantastic. It's opening up February 4th here. So if you're interested in coming down, check out a postcard. It's really great stuff. So let me see. I have notes for tonight. So we're here, as you know, to celebrate the inaugural issue of Carnival, which shouldn't get mixed up with After the Carnival. It's two separate things. They're just coming together tonight. It's an online magazine, and the website's carnivallitmag.com, and I think that's with one L. The Carnival and the lit share an L, so don't get confused there. Tons of great writers, and the wonderful thing is a bunch of them are here tonight. I think you have like 18, something like that, a list of 18, so it's going to be a fabulous night. Please stick around and all the way through the end if you can. With that said, I'm going to bring up the woman in charge of all this and who will run you through the rest of the night. It's the editor of Carnival, Shannon Therese. Come on up.
Can everybody hear? I just want to make sure everyone can hear. We have the readers. I don't care about me. You don't need to care about me. I care about the poets. Okay, I just want to say a couple things. Not too much because I want to get to the poetry. I started Carnival because, let's see, I graduated from the creative writing program at Long Beach in 2008. And then in the year and a half after that, I bought a house, got married, and had a kid. So there was very little poetry in my life, and I wanted some poetry back in my life, and that's why I started Carnival. The other reason is because I happen to be very fortunate, and I have a lot of talented friends, artists and poets, and I wanted to create a vehicle for them. So there's a couple people that I have to thank. Two people who have been so important. This wouldn't be what it is without them, and that's Dr. Lachlan. I don't know, even most of these people are his friends, and he's the one who gave me the plug, and without that, you know, it would have just been me. And the other person who's not here tonight, he's traveling, is Tony Barnstone. He also plugged. So yeah, if you guys know Tony, he's pretty amazing too. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and start with our first reader. You guys, you should read the contributor section. It's almost as good as the poems. So I'm going to just go ahead and go alphabetical, and we're going to start with Jose Arroyo.
My last name always fucks me. Can we start from the Z? Okay. So I have a couple of poems. And first of all, I just want to thank Shannon for inviting me. It's a real honor to be a part of this. And I also want to thank Lachlan for turning me on to this publication. And I'll read the one that was featured in it. It's called Dos Mundos, which means two worlds. She lives among Joshua trees and teaches English in a 2-bit college on a hill. I live in a suburb 15 minutes east of East LA and work for a 2-bit air conditioning outfit off the 10 freeway. We've been locked up in here all day in this overpriced motel room somewhere in Redlands, the geographical halfway point between us. We have cigarettes, munchies, and plenty to drink. As she snoozes on the bed, down for the count after another 3-rounder, and I try to get it all down by lamplight. This one here, she just can't get enough. Like me, she has apparently been starved for some time. Everywhere we go, she wants to get down. Once in a parked car, a few times in public restrooms, and the other day I was leaning on an ancient rock formation at the Joshua Tree National Park with her rubbing up against my thigh like a dog until she reached orgasm. The women of my past, I pushed them in the well, hidden in the deepest part of me, and didn't even say goodbye. I hear their voices now as I write this, screaming up at me to get them the hell out of there or throw down a gun so they can put themselves out of their misery. I wonder, excuse me, I wonder if this one will end up down there with them. That's it for that one. Let me get a little air in my water. Okay, I have 2 more for you guys. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, so at some point back in the day, I used to panhandle, and that's a long story, but you know, trying to scrounge up enough change to get drug money, and I just so happened to, I did, you know, that was part of my hustle at some point, and I also managed to scrounge up this poem. I got a poem out of it, so it's called Like a Street Light or a Stop Sign. It was an ideal spot for panhandling because the light almost always turned red as rush hour traffic pulled off the freeway, causing the cars to back up at least 1 block. All you needed was a paper cup, but if there wasn't one handy, you could put out your hand and hope somebody might drop some change. As you stumbled in between cars, up and down the lanes, and those who lived in the area came to accept you as part of the scenery there, like a street light or a stop sign. And those who got off on the wrong exit were quick to roll up the windows and lock the doors of their expensive vehicles as soon as they saw you coming. That's it for that one. So this is called Parking Ticket. It's the last one. Dear sirs, I would like to humbly request that citation number BP0400920001 given by Officer 4259 on 9/24/2010 at 10:51 a.m. on 3152 Mancom Street in the paradisiacal city of Baldwin Park be waived. You see, the number of cars on the street does not seem proportionate to the number of houses on the block, a phenomenon that can only be explained by the sudden upsurge of multi-family households brought on, I assume, by lean economic times. These cars, with battered front ends and cracked windshields, take up the parking spots on both sides of the street, which is the reason why I was partially blocking my own driveway. Further, I find my offense petty in comparison to the shit the pickpockets who sign your paycheck get away with on a daily basis. A very chicken shit way to nickel and dime us to death, if you ask me. Lastly, I am currently on sabbatical, and aside from paying my child support and filling out the unemployment form every other week, can't be bothered with such trivialities mid-excavation.
I forgot, if anybody needs a copy of their own work, right here. Our next speaker is Martha. She'll say.
the Academy for the nomination.
That was
We're all winners. The cracks. The cracks in their marriage had appeared after their eldest son went to rehab. She had thought nothing could hurt more than that, but she was wrong. "Come on," she said to her husband. "If we don't leave now, we'll be late." I'm coming. Hold your horses," he replied. They got into his car, and she drove. He stretched out next to her in the passenger seat, like a pasha. "I don't like this guy, you know," he said to her. "Really?" she said. "Why?" "I think he's not straight with us," he answered. "Why would you think that?" "I don't know. It's just a feeling I have." "Why would he be dishonest with us? What would he stand to gain? What would be his motive?" "I don't know." He shrugged, leaned his head back and closed his eyes. Conversation over. She drove eastbound on the 91 towards Riverside and wondered. She liked this guy. She had thought a male marriage counselor would be a comforting thing to her uptight husband, that he would think he already had someone in his court. She wondered if it had more to do with the man's color than his honesty. She gave a loud sigh and turned on News Radio 1070. "Two shot in a bank robbery gone bad in Palm Springs," she heard the voice say. Probably some morons who needed drug money, she thought, and tried to picture who the shooters were. At the moment, she'd been daydreaming and only half paying attention. She saw a small, dark blue sedan speeding toward them. Toward them? How could that be? The car was going the wrong way on the freeway. Her eyes took in the scene, knowing they'd be dead in seconds. It would be quick, painless. She would never have her heart broken again by her sons or her husband. It would be an easy way out. Maybe there was a God. Maybe he had noted her unbearable pain. She closed her eyes and maintained her lane. Only nothing happened. She opened her eyes 2 seconds later, when the displacement of air caused by the little Honda screaming past her to the left rattled their own car. She let out a small, strangulated cry of she knew not what. Disappointment? Relief? Anger with God? She looked over at Carl. His mouth was open. He was snoring away, peaceful as an old cow lying under a shady tree in a pasture. God, how she would come to hate him.
Okay, our next speaker is Scott.
Oh, no.
Shannon, thank you so much for having me in your fine publication.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me here tonight. Kevin Lee, thank you for hosting. All right, so I have a couple poems. The first one is about a time in my life when I had rabbits. I still have rabbits, but this is a time when I would let them wander loose through the house, and things quickly started to go bad, and that's what this poem is about. So it's called Le Pon, Le Pon, Le Pon, which is French for rabbit. So here we go. The cutworm forgives the plow. William Blake. The rabbits are marauding again, loose all through the house. This is not a good idea. They're cursed, or possessed, or ill. Wherever they go, they shit. It is best to not look too closely at their leavings. Their pellets might take the shape of hanged men, of gods clothed in flesh, hanging limp and broken from the crossbeams. I do not turn my head to glance at unusual movement. A rabbit, deep in their voodoo chants, will hover feet from the ground, somehow smug, self-satisfied. Its tiny buck teeth glinting like arrowheads. Rabbits engaged in debate turn nihilistic, Nietzschean. It's easy to walk away, to think you won the argument, only to find yourself hours later in the tiny Italian restaurant in the village, glaring disgusted at the teenagers. Do feed the rabbit. Please, go ahead. It will not be satisfied. This one is a longer poem. It's not in Carnival, but if you want to read the ones that are in Carnival, you can read Carnival. So I'm going to steal the limelight and make you guys hear this one instead. My father in the morning at the kitchen counter, as he struggles to live through yet another day. My father is a broken gunslinger. His hands bunched into knots that came from working too hard and fast, as a soldier, as a hired gun, half a world away from here. In the white of his left eye, there's a tiny comet of blood, a shattered capillary that hovers forever, just beyond the field of broken blue ice that is his iris. This tiny blood star will blazes back in the hollow light of early morning. Willie draws himself up to his full height and grips the edge of the countertop, perhaps to keep himself upright beneath the weight of it all. His face is filled with lines that look to be age, but are actually the passages and furrows that dreams will carve on their way out of the body. His crow's feet are fine webs of glass freshly broken by an invading fist. There are marks of disinheritance. The spiraling torn edge across his left cheek is a stepbrother who will never love him and told him so while wearing his class ring. The wrinkles at the downturned edges of his mouth are the legacy of stock market crashes that will take his life savings while the World Trade Center is still burning. The permanent darkness in the hollows around his eyes are the tattoos of affairs and addictions, a litany of guilt drawn into the bruised leavings of insomnia. Leaning against that countertop, waiting for the coffee, my father is somewhere else. He's in the place that bursts blood vessels and carves lines into wooden faces. He's the last soldier alive on a beach, a reservist in the South Pacific, the sole survivor, ankle deep in scarlet water. He's in both places at once, big hands splayed across the white tile, like crippled animals in uneasy rest. Each sigh makes his chest visible between the lapels of his cotton bathrobe. It is a Rosetta Stone for the translation of pain. A language that is made up of the body trying to survive the mind. A topography of cancer scars, a relief map with highlights, bullet holes from urban and exotic wars. Each scar, each line of wear, is a sentence in the story of a man who does not yet know that he will lose his ear in 6 months, lose his mother in 3. They're the story of a weight that is already too heavy, a weight that is still pulling him down. Thanks.
Our next reader I haven't had the pleasure of meeting. It's Wesley Francis.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be here. Thank you. So this is a poem called Theft. They chased the black homeless man down aisle 4 to the front of the store and forced him to remove the bottled soda from his soiled pants. They kicked him out through the automatic doors, backslapping each other, congratulatory on catching the thief and preventing the crime from occurring. Then the employee who held the bottle pinched between his fingers like some strange, dangerous insect, turned to the manager and said, "I'm going to throw this out. After all, he did have it down his pants." Thank you. This is a poem called There's Not Much to Say. There's not much to say with your pants around your ankles. Bent forward, fiercely clutching at freshly tangled sheets and watching your blurred reflection in the wall-to-wall mirror. Whether it's in a prison cell, serving 3 to 5, sickened by the stench of stale cigarette smoke, while some beefy inmate named Bruno calls you sweetheart. Or in your bedroom, 10 years old, tasting tears in your throat and praying that you hear the jangle of keys that announces Mom's home.
Our next reader is Dylan Goslin.
Happy poems, everybody. Happy poems. Many thank you to Shannon and John for turning me on to the magazine in the first place, and Michael Sinat for giving me the opportunity to name drop. First one's about a legend in the entertainment industry, a Wilford Brimley. It's called Wilford Brimley's Mustache. Wilford Brimley's mustache 2 clumps of cotton glued right under his Santa Claus nose, the centerpiece to his Pillsbury face. It quivers when his southern drawl weaves words and leaps from his lips. He informs us of opportunity and syringes and finger pricks, and all the horrors of comas, lost limbs, swelling bodies, and blindness are lost on a powdered sugar lip warmer and diabetes. One more. This one goes by the name of Class. A few of you might have heard it. 10 minutes of being a good student. 11 hits, I crack. The teacher's words blend into white noise, an accidental lullaby. My eyes snap around the room. The teach, my paper, my poem, my phone, the girl next to me, and her epic knockers. Damn it. He just jumped 5 slides. I'll jump 5 pages in the notes then. Uh-huh. 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 Marcus Garvey did what? When? My pencil scratches lines. My wrist whines its grievances. My mental blinders are firmly affixed. He makes a point about Roosevelt, and his wife, and his cabinet, and his secretary, and his... My mind and sight wander back to that tank top with the eye magnets fighting for my attention. I came here for a higher education, but the 11th minute hits, and I crack.
Our next reader is Catherine H.
Wow, there's so many people that have come and I didn't know. Hello. First of all, I want to thank Shannon, but I also want to thank Jerry Laughlin, because he told me about the publication, and I have to tell you, I lived across the street from him. I was very young, but it was in 1971 in Seal Beach, and he had this little Volkswagen, and he was teaching at Long Beach, and you know how windy it is in Seal Beach, and he used to come out of a driveway with his windows open, and I swear to you that papers were just like flying around. And I just got this image of poems, just flying out the window, and I'm sure that they were. So it's lovely to have known someone that long, and he's been special in my life many, many times. Thank you. The first piece I'm reading is I'm reading to with your permission. And the first one is the one in the Meg, and it's written anonymously to protect an individual. And I also shifted some things around, but the other one has my full name on it. So the first one is called The Broken. The broken, by name withheld to protect the broken. Dedicated to all the men who have not married me. The broken know who they are. They do things differently. They manage, they pass. They are even amazing in moments. The moments don't last. The broken are easily overcome by their brilliance, and yours always looks better next to theirs, because how can you be brilliant alone? The broken, as they age, lose family members, rarely have plans on holidays, make do with the stuffy concerts on KCET, where others go to their children's Christmas programs. The broken sometimes ignore holidays altogether. They shop at the 24-hour store on Thanksgiving night, pretending it is the Thursday night previous. They pick up some wart remover and toilet paper or a copy of Discover, maybe a bar of banana-scented soap from the markdown bin. The broken go to therapy. They attend groups. They have hobbies, post messages on their favorite fringe website. They watch Carnival of Souls or Meet Me in St. Louis repeatedly instead of going out to a movie. Some of them draw or play the violin or flute. Sometimes they throw ceramic pots. Maybe they used to be good at archery, tennis, ice skating, but now, no, not anymore. There's usually a long list of things they want to do, but feel they can't. They work very hard at accepting their lot, and after a while they don't notice that they are broken. But they know who their fellows are, those neighborhood singles whose first name they know, the ones they wave to when they run into them at Top Value or the branch library. These are the same ones who ride the bus on holidays, the other ones without family, the ones who carry the bus schedules for every route in the city. Broken are usually excellent at giving directions to strangers. Sometimes an unexpected event happens. An unbroken comes into a broken's life and invites her to join him. She's suspicious. What does he want? Does he think she's easy? Is he trying to get something? Sometimes the unbroken is temporarily broken himself and knows that the true broken will not judge him. He may even help him repair. Even while she is sussing this out, her lifelong desire to join the unbroken, to be partnered, to be a true familiar in a world of comfortable kitchens, kid homework, dairy field trip cow milking and movie nights, sex on the beach, and I don't mean the drink, gets the better of her. She dares to believe she has been chosen for herself. Maybe the spell of the broken has left. She still tries to hide all its earmarks around the unbroken, those she is aware of anyway, or those she can try to keep under control for short periods. Fear of going without food, fear of looking like a dinosaur while chewing, fear of being unaccountably slapped or snapped at for saying something annoying, fear of being kissed without due preparation. She feels she is semi-successful for a time. Things go well. She is invited to the unbroken's home. She is invited to one of his members-only clubs. Then, even as she wonders if the unbroken girls get this same treatment, or do they have a longer period of public events, she is too quickly only seen in private. And now it is only at the unbroken's convenience, while he is working, in between his appointments, being given a courtesy ride to the bus station. No gifts are exchanged, unless they are from her, of course. No more suggestions of fun things to do are mentioned. No questions about what she might like to do. No more, maybe I could join you sometime, when she mentions her nature walks, her hobbies, her private showings of rare kinescopes from the Dumont television network, non-existent since 1959. She wonders, do the unbroken ever bring orchids to other unbrokens, as they seem to in old films? Nothing has been brought to her, except peanut sauce for their chicken fried rice, but she appreciated this very much, as it did require a special trip to an Asian grocer. Then the visits become phone calls, and they come less often, usually on a Sunday. There is an exchange of news, mostly the unbroken's difficulties at being temporarily broken. The broken listens patiently, thinking, at least it's still a relationship with the unbroken. It's still something enough to tell her friends, her broken friends, about. The friends remain impressed with the overall development, and all choose to ignore its diminishing returns. One day, the unbroken sends a message to the broken. He is telling about a birthday gift he has received from 2 young children. The breakup of his family is part of his temporary broken condition. He describes his consternation at receiving a piece of furniture which doesn't go with anything else in his new bachelor quarters. He is not sure what to do and discusses it with a trusted advisor. The advisor humors him and tells him to put it, in one telling it's a magazine rack, in another a hat rack, but it could be in anything, an ottoman, a throw, on the wall, and see it as a symbol of his new life. Being a good sport, he does that. The broken thinks to herself that she is like this unfitting appliance. She also doesn't go with anything else in his pad or his life. He is trying to be a good sport and appreciate her anyway, but after a while, the honorable advice forgotten, her ill-fitting nature cannot be ignored. He puts her aside, as he eventually does, respectable display time over, the piece of furniture. The broken finds her own handmade furnishing, yacht stand, throw, lantern, in a thrift store. Brokens most often shop in the neighborhood thrift store. She takes it home and arranges her own furniture around it. It goes fine with her things. It doesn't seem broken in her home. She doesn't even seem broken in her home. And she doesn't seem broken around her friends, even though they are still broken. Maybe she's not broken anymore. Maybe helping the temporary broken become unbroken again made her unbroken. The condition seems only to last as long as she stays away from him. If she tries to extend the friendship with the unbroken past his setting aside of her, she seems to become broken again. If the broken know anything, they know when their time is up. As the temporary unbroken, if she ignores anything she's learned 100 times already, the broken often have to repeat experiences more than the unbroken. They are slow to understand, or maybe it is just too painful. She will probably become broken again, and possibly too broken to repair. She'd best stay with the broken crowd, where she can safely wait to meet another temporary. It's not impossible for the broken to find love. But the broken do so live in the past, that to love someone in the present must break them of their condition. It is a rare broken who can sustain the radically uncomfortable process of being made new. The broken are the broken are the broken, or so they believe. So I am now reading a shorter piece about the terrorist attacks in Mumbai, India in 2008, if you remember. And this is written from the point of view of a child, and it's dedicated to all children who have witnessed their parents harmed during acts of war. Thanksgiving at the Hotel Taj Mahal, Mumbai, 2008. I am 10. I deposited my balloon at the door of the Leopold Cafe. My mother said it was rude to bring it in, but it didn't go far. It hid in the corner of the red-purple awning covered with ivy. My violin case I brought in, that was not rude. It was heavy like a package of dead baby. The balloon was not heavy. Who could it have bothered? My mother. It bothered my mother. I ordered a hamburger. My parents had lamb curry, chicken curry, and a yogurt lassi. I made a face. My hamburger was not right. It was a hamburger in India. My mother said, "Let's doctor it up." "Do you have any ketchup?" she asked the waiter. I looked at my hamburger as she removed the bun to help improve it. She screamed. My hamburger was the face of a terrorist on a sesame bun. The violin case sitting by my feet, which was heavy like the package of dead baby, sprang open and blood poured out of it. There was a stream of blood that ran from the case to the door and out, and my father screamed, and the waiter who was bringing the ketchup was the face of a terrorist. People who had not been there previously now appeared in front of the awning. Their faces were black with soot. There was black smoke behind them. They pounded on the glass, and their fists were the faces of terrorists. I put ketchup on my burger and replaced the bun. My mother closed her eyes. My father fell forward on the table. I took a bite of my sandwich. My throat gurgled as more blood tried to come out up through the same passage that the hamburger patty that was the face of a terrorist tried to go down. 25 black and yellow dinghies, slick bumblebees without no soft poof in their bodies sailed in on the stream of blood, and men with bags of snack almonds got out. They all had faces of terrorists, and they were very rude, but they did not bleed. Little hotel. I am 3. I am playing with a goat. No, it's a marshmallow. No, it's a rabbit's foot. I can't see. It's white and soft. I'm falling asleep in love with playing with the face of a terrorist. My bones snap. I'm small enough to swim in the stream of blood. There are loud pops like an electric stapler my father uses in. No bigger. The orchestra kettle drum. No. When the chimney fell. No. When the Armenians bombed the Turkish business in Hollywood. No. Louder. Noise, buzzing, bigger than me, bigger than I. I'm playing with something white and how soft. It's a finger, not on a hand. No, it's the face of a terrorist. No, it is my father's collar, torn from his shirt, torn from my father. I am holding a cotton ball of no. I can't keep my eyes open. My mother is on the ground. What is soft and white and wet? It is my mother's eye. No, she has no eye. I have no mother. What is soft and white and wet is the moon. No, the man on the moon. No, it's the face of terrorists.
Okay, our next reader is Michelson Nat.
Nice to meet you. I didn't bring that one. Thomas and the Hummingbird. Thomas learned to dance from a hummingbird who moved like sweet tea in the space between buildings and trash. They swayed in and out of the broken lights like